first thing the first thing okay, the first thing that we try to teach, and there are two different things that come into play here. Obviously, we have reading, whether it's man or zone. Now, what we want to try to do is read whether it's man or zone pre-snap, and then sometimes we'll get a preliminary, or every time, we'll get a preliminary indication what the coverage is by the pre-snap look. And then we'll confirm that after the snap on our drop. Now, when you're talking, there's two different things we're talking about here. When you're talking to receivers, okay, the easiest way for receivers to recognize whether it's man or zone is by the eyes of the defender. Is the defender staring at me, looking at me, covering me, or is he looking in the backfield, looking at a key, an uncovered lineman, some kind of a key that he's trying to get for his situation, whether it's a run or a pass. Okay? So the receivers can get some clues by the eyes of the defender, whether it's man or zone. Okay? The quarterback, knowing whether it's man or zone, has to know the different alignments that people play when they're going to play man and when they're going to play zone. Okay? And what I mean by that is he needs to look at the configuration of the secondary. Okay? And even though I've got 3 deep there and then configuration, really configuration is something that I teach to the quarterbacks and to the receivers as far as what I'm going to turn this on.
Could you close the door when you're down there too?
Close the door?
Yeah, it's getting a glare.
Okay. Is it better with the lights off?
Yeah, it's better with the lights off.
Okay.
Or just put one of them
What
off.
do you guys want? Off? Okay. What I mean by configuration is you take a coverage. Let's just say it's a 3 deep zone. And you draw a line through the 4 secondary players, like that. That is a configuration of a coverage. If you take 2 deep zone, try to do it in different colors, so that's a configuration. Now, if you have those are zone configurations, most likely. Now, the thing that's going to tell you it's man, tell the quarterback it's man, is the relative position of the corners on the wide receivers. If they're head up to outside, it's most likely zone. If they're inside, it's most likely man, 2 man. Okay? Now, as far as those are mostly zone coverages except what I showed you about 2 man. Now the strong safety lines up there. as opposed to in 3-deep zone, he was lined up out here. It's similar configuration to the one that we had on 3-deep zone, but the position of the strong safety is different. So that's going to give the quarterback a clue, a pre-snap clue that it's man. Okay, now, I'm going to do a different color here. If you had this look, okay? You have that look that's in purple right there. He has to know, quarterback has to know, that's most likely one of two things. Now the depth of this and the relative position of these guys to the wide receivers is going to be important. If these guys are inside the wide receivers and these safeties are at, say, 6, 7, or 8 yards, less than 10 yards, there's a high percentage of it that what we would call zero man. Okay? What I mean by that, there's nobody deep, 0 people deep. Okay? If it has that configuration, but it is deeper, and these guys are playing outside leverage, and these safeties are at 10 yards, and it's got kind of an umbrella look, but not a too deep look. Okay? That's what we call cover 4, which is quarters. Okay? So you've got different configurations, knocked it out a little, that are going to tell you something. It's like geometry. You've got to relate it to geometry a little bit. You draw lines between the secondary people, and if you can tell the corner's relative position on the receivers, those are 2 key clues you're going to get as to whether it's man or zone. And then you also draw lines along that same line, draw lines between the defensive back positions, and you can tell by the configuration or the shape of that what that takes when you draw lines between those positions as far as what the coverage is. Okay, now, going back. Okay, we've talked about, like on this one, these are 2 different kinds of zone coverages. Got trouble with it staying. These are 2 different kinds of zone coverages. And by the configuration of them, you can tell what it is. Depending on, and then the other thing that would maybe tell you something is if the corners are inside, then maybe it's man. Okay, we had man free, which is in green, man with a free safety because of where the strong safety is. The purple is 0 man, or no deep, like a blitz man. And the black one there is 4 across quarters, where they're playing quarter, 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 quarter. Okay. Now, tied in with these is what you teach the receivers. Okay, I've started off standing behind the quarterback, or behind the center, quarterback seeing the configuration of these 4 defensive backs, him being able to tell whether it's man or zone, whether it's 2 deep or 3 deep. Okay? Now, as in teaching receivers, okay? In teaching receivers, teach them the configuration of the 2 defensive backs to their side and the next one in. Okay? So in other words, if I'm the flanker right here, okay, I need to know where those 2 guys are to my side. And then I just need to take a snapshot of where the safety is. okay? It's gonna tell me a lot. When I line up, if I see this look right here, corner off, strong safety in an invert position, pretty high percentage is gonna be a 3-deep zone. Okay, now if I take a little snapshot of where the free safety is, it's gonna tell me right away. So as a receiver, I don't need to know what all 4 DBs are doing. I need to know, first of all, what the 2 guys are doing to my side. Then I need to know, just take a little peek to confirm it, on what's happening on the DB, the next DB away, and that would be the free safety for the flanker. Then obviously the same thing would be true if I was talking about the X, or the split end. He's going to look at the corner and the free safety. He has that look. Pretty good chance it's either 3 deep or man free. Okay? He has this look. Pretty good chance it's some kind of cover 2. Okay? To my side. And then it's a little harder for him to see it, but he wants to take a look over here to confirm. He wants to confirm what he's seen here by where that guy is over on that side. Okay? Okay, so that's what I mean by configuration. Having them know what the coverage is by a pre-snap look. Okay? Now, post-snap. Well, that's a, I mean, I could go into a lot more depth than that. But I want to give you a general concept here. Okay, you can see here now the different coverage categories that I put in here as far as being able to recognize these prior to the snap. Okay, 3-deep configuration, we covered that. 2-deep configuration, we covered that. A quarters configuration, okay, where you end up with a quarters all the way across. You can end up with on one side, you could end up with a 2-deep look to one side and a quarters look to the other side, which is very common. Like a roll wheat coverage where you have, to the split end side, you have a cover 2-deep look, and then to the flanker side, you have a quarters look. Quarter, half cover. Then you got blitz man, you got man under. Now bracket's a little harder to tell, okay? Bracket is a little harder to tell. And by bracket, I mean, and this, I think with a young quarterback, you don't want to start teaching them this first. Okay, but most of the time when people play bracket coverages, they're going to do it out of a quarters look, and it's situational. It's going to look like quarters, but then on the snap of the ball, this guy's going to turn out and this guy's going to turn in. So you're not going to be able to tell it's that until the ball is snapped a lot of times. Okay? So that's going to be very similar to a quarters look. Okay, so I think that's a down and distance type thing. I think you've got to deal with that. That's not, they're not going to run that on first down. Okay, so those are the different categories of configurations that you're going to get. Okay? Man or zone, eyes of the defenders for the receivers. Being able to tell whether it's man or zone by the eyes of the defender for the defenders by the receivers. Looking at the defensive backs. Okay, then you have the different configurations, a 3-deep configuration, a 2-deep configuration, a quarters configuration, blitz man configuration, man under configuration, and bracket would be way down the line, okay? Okay. Quarterback is going to have to know the configuration of all 4 defensive backs. Receivers are going to get the configuration of the 2 defensive backs to their side, plus the other one on the opposite side to confirm that look. Okay, now we've talked about pre-snap reads to a certain degree. We want to get an idea before the snap, pre-snap, first of all, whether it's man or zone. Some of that you can tell, and I'm repeating myself a little bit, but some of that you can tell by the configuration. Some of that you can tell as a quarterback by the relative position of the corners in relation to the wide receivers. And then you want to be able to tell whether it's going to be a blitz or not by the alignment and the activity of the three safeties the safeties prior to the snap. If it's going to be zero man, meaning no help man, the safeties are going to be down low and the corners are going to be playing inside. If it is going to be a secondary blitz of some kind, okay, talking pre-snap now, secondary blitz of some kind, okay, the safeties will tell you the story every time. Okay? Let's say it was going to be a corner blitz. Now, first of all, this receiver is going to be able to tell. But let's say they're trying to disguise it out of a quarter, half look. This happens a lot in college football because of the being into the people wanting to bring that from the boundary. Hash mark. Prior to the snap, most of the time you're going to see that free safety cheating over. Most of the time, combined with that, you're going to see that guy cheating in. Now, like I said, the safeties are going to tell the story, but a lot of teams, when they corner blitz, they move this guy up closer to the receiver than he normally, closer to the receiver than he normally is when he's playing normal roll coverage to that side. Because they want him in the best position to make a hit on a pass and also to run support out here to this side if the ball comes out there on the run. Okay, the other part of that is a safety blitz of some kind. Like I said, the safeties are going to tell you the story. Okay, let's say it's going to be, let's say pre-snap it looks like this. Okay, maybe 3 deep, maybe man free. Or I'm talking about you come up to the ball. Okay, prior to the ball being snapped, that guy cheats there. If he's going to blitz, that guy's got to do what? He's got to get over in a position to cover the tight end. So those safeties, their activity right before the ball snapped is going to tell you if it's a strong safety blitz. Okay? Same thing would be true of a free safety blitz. Okay? Most likely that guy is going to have to get in a position to cover the tight end, and this guy's either going to be down low or he's going to be cheating to be in a position to blitz either, or he may be even lined up out there. If he's lined up out there, it's pretty obvious it's coming. Okay? Okay, those are some pre-snap looks, reads, indicators that'll tell you man or zone and blitz situations. Now, going to the receivers. Okay? Like we said, pre-snap, we want them to look at the two defensive backs to their side and take a picture of what the backside safety is doing. Okay? The other thing we want to do is look at the eyes of the defender covering them. Okay? Is he looking at me? Is he looking in the backfield? Second thing, or really the third thing, what is his relative position to me? Is he lined up outside me? Is he lined up head up on me? Or is he lined up inside me? Most of the time when he's outside, this isn't all the time, but most of the time when he's outside, it's some kind of zone. Okay? Most of the time when he's lined up inside me, it's some kind of man. Okay? Okay, post-snap reads. Now, let me back up a second. One thing that I think is really good. I'll get to that later. I'll do this first. Because I've got some drills that are pre-snap read things, but let's go to the post-snap reads. Okay. Now, on the snap of the ball, and it's a pass. As I come out of there, very important that the quarterback on his drop is looking downfield. I know this sounds really like a really basic thing, but a lot of quarterbacks don't, especially young quarterbacks. A lot of them are making sure they don't run into somebody in the back. Okay? They've got to be looking down the field. They've got to be looking at what the safeties are doing. Very important. Okay. Then what they've got to be able to do, they're going to get a pre-snap read as to what the coverage is, or what they think it's going to be. Pre-snap. We talked about that. Configuration, where the safeties are, relative position of the corners to the wide receivers. Okay. After the ball is snapped, what they're trying to do is confirm what they thought prior to the snap. And that means right when they're coming away from the center, they've got to get a feel for what's happening. This is where disguise comes into play. People that are disguised coverage teams. Okay? And this is where you want to have a drill that you work on this. But anyway, what you have to have as a quarterback is it's almost like I don't know what you have to develop as a quarterback. And you have to teach them how to do this. Is to take a snap of people that are, before the snap, how they're lined up in place without movement. And then as movement starts, what the coverage becomes, where the configuration of the lines gets as the ball snapped, if that makes any sense. Okay? Because what ends up happening with, I'm not saying a lot of teams do this, but some teams do this, is they try to have a coverage look that is their base look. Let's just say this look right here. This is Michigan, okay? University of Michigan does a great job with this, okay? They will go to all their coverages out of that look, okay? So what the quarterback has to be able to do on the snap of the ball is he has to get a pre-snap. Pre-snap look is probably going to be either quarter, half, roll weak, half field to the split end side, quarter to the tight end flanker side. Okay? Or possibly quarter all the way across, where this guy gets some depth. Michigan plays that one with an overshift in front. Okay? But when they zone blitz, when they run their, and this is like for us last year, this is what I call the NCAA blitz now. Okay, this was Michigan's number one. I think we saw it from every team we played this year. And it's really big in the NFL too. Okay, snap of the ball. It looks like roll weak, overshift the defense strong. Snap of the ball. Just before the snap, this guy widens out. He blitzes. The whole front slants this way. Mike linebacker comes there. So they bring him 4 strong, basically. This guy drops into the flat if it's a pass. He's got deep third. He's got deep third. He inverts up and plays flat. He's got deep third. And that guy's got what's called the middle vertical. Okay, we saw that a ton. That's a zone blitz that we saw a bunch. And that was pre-snap look. If you went strictly by the pre-snap look, you would have said, as a quarterback, that's going to be quarter, half, roll weak, whatever you want to call it. Okay? But then, after the snap, as the ball's being snapped, you're watching those safeties, that backside free safety's running to the middle and this safety's inverting up. Now, you got a whole different deal, okay? So what you've got to do is go from, it's kind of a strange deal, but I'll try to, you go from this configuration, okay, which is a quarter, half look, and ending up as the ball snapped to that configuration. So he has to be able to know that and react to that. And for us, that's why we read on a lot of our passes, we read the free safety, almost all of our passes. We read the free safety to know where to go with the ball. Because we had some stuff, we had some things where we were running outs on both sides, or we were running curls on both sides. And what ended up happening was the safety, by where he ended up going, told us where to go with the ball for two reasons. Number one, we knew that's where the soft coverage was going to be. Okay, in other words, the soft corner was going to be over there. Okay? And number two, we knew the side to where the safety was rotating to was the side we were going to lose our back. So we didn't have an underneath receiver going out to that side. Okay? So we would have safety reads where we have double routes on both sides. Safety goes from the hash mark to the middle. We're throwing the ball over here based on where the safety's going. So our quarterbacks had to be very well prepared in knowing the pre-snap and obviously seeing this right here, post-snap configuration of the secondary as to where they're going. Okay? Now, another part of all this that I think is really important is what, as a quarterback, as I look at it, what are the linebackers doing? And there's basically two things post-snap that linebackers do. Three things, you might call it. Three things. The most obvious one, and that's the one I didn't consider when I first made that statement, was when they blitz. Okay, that's the most obvious one. When they're running at me. Okay, that's one thing that they did. But the two other things that can tell you whether it's man or zone are, in zone, they're dropping to areas. In man, they're flashing in front of your eyes. Okay? Okay, does that make sense? In zone, they're dropping to areas. They're going to actually, you're going to see them, there's two different movements, and you got to show them in person and on film what the two things look like. Zone, I'm dropping like this. No way I'm playing man-to-man when it's like that. Okay, in man-to-man, I'm going to sit for a second, and I'm going to flash. I'm going to run to cover a guy. If there's a guy running a swing or whatever, a guy running a flat, that linebacker is running to cover a guy. And there's a big difference. As I'm looking down the middle, I'm looking at the safeties. It's real easy for me as a quarterback to look at the safeties and to see the linebackers in front of me. Kind of, safeties with eye on the safety, but awareness of what the linebackers are doing. Are they dropping, or are they flashing in front of my eyes? Okay, obviously, if this back runs a swing, that guy's going to be running like a wild banshee if he's got a man. If this back's running a swing, and this linebacker's dropping like that, you know what coverage you get. Whether it's man or zone. Okay? So I think that's another post-snap key for the quarterbacks as far as whether it's man or zone. Interestingly enough, I think that's also a good key for the backs. Okay, a lot of times, I talked earlier about involving the backs in the passing game. And if you're running option, any kind of option type routes with your backs, we call them read routes. But if you're running option routes where they're basically getting open, they can tell a lot. Like I said, same thing as with the wide receivers. They can tell by the eyes of the defender, first of all. Is he looking at me or is he looking in the backfield? And number two, are they flashing to me or are they dropping into an area? Big difference in how it looks. Okay? Okay, now. Go to the second page here. Okay, post snap for the receivers. Post snap for the receivers. Okay. I've come up to the line as a receiver, okay? I'm going to get a configuration of the two DBs to my side and the backside safety as to what kind of configuration that coverage is. Okay, now, the other thing I'm going to look at is the relative position of the guy over me. Is he head up, is he outside, or is he inside? I'm the receiver on the left-hand side, okay? Now, as I come off the ball, I'm going to confirm what my information was before. If it's a roll coverage over here, does it stay a roll coverage? Or if on the snap, does that safety run to there and that safety go to there? Okay? So I've got to confirm what the coverage is on the snap. Were they disguising or were they lining up in the coverage they were going to play? And that's going to affect my route. It's going to affect any kind of adjustment that I make. Okay? For example, okay, and this is important. For example, we try not to have too many routes that convert. Okay, which, in my opinion, in our opinion, at the Chargers, you want to be able to have pass patterns that are good against anything. They're multi-purpose pass patterns. They're good against anything. Okay? But you also have to have some flexibility built in that you convert some routes. But you don't want to have so many conversions that you end up with the receiver and the quarterback not on the same page as to what the route's converting to. Okay, now, a classic example of a route conversion, okay, is let's say you have a comeback route called. Okay, a deep comeback on a 7-step drop, and you're going to run a 18-yard comeback, okay? You come up and you get a cover 2 look to your side as a receiver. Rolled corner with a half-field safety to that side. Like I said, you're going to get a configuration of what those two guys are doing. But you're also going to take a picture about the backside safety. What's he doing? Now, on the snap of the ball, our conversion on that route is we're going to run what we call a burst or a circle out, which is like a corner route, okay? If you have a 2-deep look. But if they start off in a roll coverage and run, I got too many lines in here, I'm going to try to do a different color, and they run to a cover 3, you may be starting to convert the route. And if you're not reacting on the run to what you see, you may run the conversion when you didn't need to run the conversion. So you may start with an inside release, see him running out of there and the thing change it, then you're just gonna go up and run your comeback. Okay? You're gonna go up and run your comeback. So I think it's very important that the receiver do the same thing that the quarterback does, except he's doing it on his side of the ball. Quarterback has to do it with all 4 DBs. The receiver needs to be responsible and know what the corner and the safety are doing to his side, and also get a feel for what the backside safety's doing. Okay. The other thing, and this is fairly obvious, but it's the same as the pre-snap looks. You're just confirming all the pre-snap looks. What's the configuration of those 2 defensive backs? Okay. Then after the ball snap, what is it? Okay. Then what is this guy's, are his eyes, you know, if this is a defensive back, are his eyes looking at me all the way? If you're the receiver, am I like this? Okay, a pretty good chance it's man-to-man. Or if you're the receiver on the left-hand side and the ball's in there, am I like this? Decent chance it's zone. Okay? The other thing is, like we said before, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, relative position to the receiver. Okay? Is that guy outside me? If I'm the receiver, you're the DB. Okay? I'm the receiver on the left-hand side. Okay? Ball's in there. Okay? You're head up to outside on me, pretty good chance it's going to be zone. On the snap of the ball, though, as I come off, if you weave to inside leverage, now I got man-to-man coverage by it. Okay? On this pre-snap, if the relative position is inside out, pretty good chance it's man-to-man. As I release off the ball, if you weave outside leverage, pretty good chance I got zone. Take you into, you know, still you can't go all by that, but you've got to be able to not only read that pre-snap, but confirm that post-snap. Okay? Okay. Now, okay, drills for doing this. Okay. The first thing, the starting point, I think, and is in a classroom type situation. The best I've ever seen, the best thing that I've ever seen done, and if you got the time and the somebody to help you do this, is to get a secondary out one day. Have people line up in a formation without the line, just the tight ends and the receivers, depending on what your formation is. You know, whatever that formation is. I just drew a split back there just for sake of purpose, okay? And have your 4 DBs out here. Okay, just kind of giving you some ideas. Set up a ladder back here. I don't draw very good ladders, but high enough that you can get perspective and you can see the whole field, but not too high where it's not the perspective that the quarterback can see. Okay? And do one of 2 things. In the old days, when 15 years ago, we did it with slides. Okay? You take slide pictures of the configurations of what they look like to the quarterback. Okay? And then you have them run to where they are and take another picture. Okay? That's one way to do it. So they get a freeze frame look of what it looks like prior to the snap and then after the snap. Okay, that's one way that I think is really good. Now going into the modern day technology. Okay? One of the things, and I should have brought one with me. I should have brought a copy of it. Do the same thing, okay, and use a video camera. And what we have now, and I don't know if there's different ways to do it, but they have a way where you can take a still picture of a video image. Okay, it's like when you hook it up to your video system. Okay, and it's not that expensive, and it's getting cheaper all the time. But in other words, you videotape this, then you videotape a coverage drill. So you have them line up in cover 3, and they run cover 3, and you videotape it. Line up in 2 deep zone, pre-snap, and then they run 2 deep zone, and you tape it. You line them up in a blitz man situation, pre-snap, and you tape the whole thing. And then what you do is you go back. How you doing? You go back, and you watch it, and you take stills out of that to teach from, so that they get a picture of what it looks like pre-snap and a picture of what it looks like post-snap. And you can do that right off your videotape. We do that with our scouting reports. Okay? We take, and like I said, I wish I had it with me. What we do, and this is something we started in college football, and the guys that we're with there had not, at the Chargers that had been in pro football hadn't seen it before, and they really like it. What we do, and I'm going to try to explain this, and if you don't understand it, ask me a question. Okay, what we do is I'll take the film of an opponent. Let's say we're playing Michigan, okay, in college football. Okay. And I will go through that tape, and I will take off the what do you call it? The numbers on, there's a name for them. The code, time code. I'll take off the time code off of the videotape. I'll stop the film. Okay, I'll be watching, and I'll get coverage looks that I want the quarterbacks and receivers to see. Pre-snap, okay? And I'll freeze it, I'll write down the time code, okay? Then I'll take it post-snap, what it looks like after the ball snap, stop the frame, and put down the time code. Okay, then our video guy at Notre Dame, and he'll do the same thing at the Chargers, will make me a still picture in color of those things that I gave him on the time code numbers. And what I'll do is I'll put it on a sheet of paper. I'll put one on the actually, I'm gonna get a picture. It looks like maybe a 4x5 picture. And then we'll enlarge that a little bit and do it in a color copy. And put the pre-snap on the top of the sheet and the post-snap on the bottom of the sheet. So then we make color copies for the scouting report for the players. And so they get, okay, taking the simplest form. This is cover 3, and they open up the page, and instead of the old days where you draw, the whole thing from the template and where everybody goes, you've got this is from a side view of it from up in the press box. But it's what that coverage looked like pre-snap at the top, and then what that coverage looked like post-snap at the bottom. And you can go through, you can do that on third down, nickel coverages, whatever that may be. And that was really good for us. Really liked it, and I've got the kids really like it. Players really like it. Because they kind of, this is neat. They kind of feel like it's something special. And so we give them that in their scouting report. The other thing about it, and I'm talking about coverages right now, but I'll just for your own information, if you're interested, whatever. We do it with our end zone copy. Okay, we get an end zone copy of. We get two different kinds. In college football, you get 2 different kinds of copies. You get a sideline copy, you get an end zone copy, and then you get one that's interweaved. In other words, it's got the play from the side and the play from the end, the play from the side and the play from the end. Well, our line coach would take the end zone copy, and it's a tackle, it's like a tight end to tight end, tight copy, end zone copy, and try to get the ones from behind the offense. You can't always, it's interesting because Tennessee, they're the only team that I know of that does it. They have 2 end zone cameras, okay? And the one that's filming is only the one behind Tennessee. Wait a minute. Yeah, behind Tennessee. So when they're going this way, that guy's filming. When they're going this way, that guy's filming. So they always get the behind shot. Anyway. And then what we'll do is we'll take an end zone shot from tackle to tackle of all the different fronts. Okay, so let's just say, just say it's a 50 front. And we'll name, the line coach will take that still shot, label the positions, and block plays right there on the shot of, the video shot of that from the end zone view. So they know exactly how they line up and how you're gonna block everything. So I think that's kind of a interesting idea.
Do you have the sketch pad deal where they draw on that and they?
Yeah, it's interesting. That company went out of business. It was called, I forget what it's called, not Telestrator, because that's the one they use, John Madden uses. But the company, for TV they had them, but the company that made them, because we had them at SC, because John Rott, after he was with CBS, and he thought they were the greatest thing in the world, so when he came in, he bought a bunch of them. And then those guys went out of business. And so it's really interesting. The guy that, Gene Christ, who's our offensive coordinator, went to Princeton. And the guy that invented them went to school with him at Princeton. And he had a bunch of them in his basement because they went out of business. So we've got them at the Chargers now. But they're hard to find right now because they're not, nobody's selling them anymore. But those are really a good tool too. Because to freeze an image on the screen and draw past plays against how you're going to run it against that and how you're going to block things and all that. But those are really good. Those are really good teachers things too. So anyway, long story. I started with the ladder and taking the picture, and then progressing into the doing the video stills from the end zone and from the side view, and you can do it from behind. You can do it as a drill situation, as a teaching thing from behind the offense for teaching quarterbacks and receivers how it looks from their perspective. Okay, then the other thing is to take them out on the field and do a coverage drill with them. Okay? And I think this is fairly obvious, but I think it's important to show it. Okay, and what I mean by that is you take them out and it'd be like a 7-on-7, but it would be like a walkthrough type of pace. Okay, and what I think this is a great thing to do during, let's just say during two-a-days, when you've been running them into the ground and all of a sudden they're really dragging, and you want to have some kind of a walkthrough type meeting, but you don't want to kill them because your receivers have been running like crazy. This is a really good drill. Even though they're on their feet, it's really a good thing. And that is, I drew up the front, but you don't need the front. Okay, it's like a 7-on-7 type deal, but it's a coverage drill. You have a secondary and linebackers. And however your linebackers line up, and you have them line up in pre-snap looks, and you snap the ball and don't run routes. Just have these guys stand where they line up, okay? And have the secondary go to a cover 3. Have the secondary pre-snap line up, in a cover two look and go to where they go in cover two. See what it looks like. Quarter, half, whatever, blitz situations, blitz man. And the other thing you can do with that is have your linebackers in there and show what they do on man, when they're flashing. Show what they do when they're dropping on zone. I think that's really a good drill. Obviously, you're not going to do that every day, but it's a good teaching thing to do as a group. Okay. Okay, and what you do is during that time, when you're doing that kind of coverage drill, is you're teaching them, once again, you're teaching them configuration. So you start, like I said, you start in a classroom, you start with video pictures, you start with slides, you start with however you want to do it, and then you carry it out onto the field where they can see the coverages happening, and then obviously you would continue that whole concept of teaching into when you do your 7-on-7s, when you do your team drills, and you're quizzing them on what the coverage is and what happened and why you went such and such a place with the ball based on what they did on defense. Okay? What I want to do now is I've got a couple of tapes to show. One of the things that's going to be hard, we got kind of a big group here and a small screen. Okay? But I think I think once, the video is important to be able to use. So. Can everybody see that well enough? Can you guys see that over there? I'm going to rewind this. Sorry about this, I had it queued up for something else.
Hey, Michael's asked some questions while he's doing that. Cover two corner, soft cover two, kind of disguising a little bit. He's soft, you're doing a little hitch, 6-yard hitch. You convert it, or you go ahead and hitch up. The guy's kind of soft. He's not a hard cover two corner. He's just soft. Kind of confusing for the wide receiver.
Yeah. Good question. We have two different kinds of hitches. We have a hitch that's a hitch, and we have a hitch that's a lock hitch. Okay? A hitch is going to convert to a fade. A lock, hitch with a lock call, is going to run a hitch no matter what. So if we're playing a team, so it's a game plan here. If we're playing a team that gives us that kind of confusing look, like the soft cover two look, then we're going to run the lock hitch and just keep it on. So we don't have that deal where, the guy's running the hitch and the quarterback's throwing the ball on the fade, which drives you nuts. Now, along that line, and this ties in with this whole topic, but it could be a whole topic within its own, is I'm a big believer in signaling the quick game, okay? So in other words, signaling the route either to the individual receiver or to a combination of two receivers to to get the best route combination against what they're doing on defense. So in other words, I've had too many bad experiences where I've had hitches called in the huddle with two backs in the backfield, and they're in cover two, and it becomes like a wasted play. You end up throwing the fade, and you may complete it, you may not, okay? So what I've gone to is, when we're in two backs in the backfield, not necessarily having the hitch be a check to get into off of a certain run play. You know, like say for example, you know, if they're, most of the time, you know, like you have some kind of run play where if they go to an 8-man front, okay, where they're gonna do something to take away your run game. And when they're an 8-man front, they're gonna have soft corners, they can't play cover two, check into the hitch in that situation. Or the other scenario is being in, say, a tight end trip set, which you'll see on film here, and having the split end, you signal the route to the split end where he runs a hitch or a fade or a slant, and the quarterback signals it to him based on how the defender's playing him. And if he gets 2-on-1 over there, in other words, if it's a 2-on-1 situation against the X, even though the quarterback signals to him, he comes off of him and he works the other side, because when you're in trips, tight trips, if they go 2-on-1 on the X, they have to be 2-on-2 on the trips to the other side. And then you end up with whatever's the best combination against that. You know, and you've got to come up, you know, but you know, you have double hitch, you know, you have slant with the flat, you have double slant, okay? You have, then you have to come up with some things against double bump when they're playing double bump. You know, when both guys are bumping your two receivers, but it's
Okay, I will not get off here, but.
No, but I mean,
Let's go to, if you got double bump, what's your favorite thing you'd like to call?
I'll tell you what, since I've got the video up,
Yeah.
let me show this and I'll come back to that. Because I need to show it on the okay? Okay, well, I'll leave some time at the end to talk, because that's fun to talk about. Okay. Well, and it'll kind of come up in this, right here. Okay. Okay, this is a double set, what we would call a double set. We got tight end to the left and a twins look to the right, okay? Now, what we had here, the protection that we had on here, we had our tight end in. So the receiver down here at the bottom was by himself, okay? So the quarterback here pre-snap, before that safety down here moved up, he considered that a 2-on-1 down here on this receiver, and he considered that up at the top a double bump situation, okay, on the two receivers up at the top. Okay, so what he did here, if I remember right, is he signaled what we call a China, where the inside guy is going to run a 6-yard corner route. He's going to go 6 to 12. He's going to break at 6 yards and run a corner route. The outside guy is going to push up into the defender, okay? Push up into the defender and come underneath him and work underneath. So if for some reason they zone this thing off, then you would have a legitimate shot at this guy coming underneath. Okay, so this is an example of the China. This is one that we like against double bump. I'll show you another one. I don't have it on video, but I'll show you another one that I like against double bump. But this would be an example of exactly what you're talking about. Inside guy running a corner route, outside guy running it's like a quick China.
Now, your turn back protection with that too.
Yes, exactly right. And all of our quick protection is turn back, making sure that we block the A and B gaps. We don't ever want in quick game because of how fast the quarterback's setting up and where he's setting up, we don't ever want to be able to have any situation where they can blitz us in the A or B gaps. Okay, now, this quarterback was too long on his drop. What he really should have done was 3 steps and a hitch. He kind of took a few more steps than that. Get a good look at the protection from the end zone here. It's all turned back, going weak. Not a great throw, really threw it behind him. Okay, now this is going to be a slant flat combination up there at the top. When we have a 3 deep look, invert look with a soft corner, we like slant flat. We would also like double hitch up there at the top too. Not a great throw there either. Threw it back inside. Hard ball to catch. One thing that you got to do, and you know, I don't want to monopolize everybody's time with this, but when you do signal routes in the quick game, you got to dummy signal it when you're not running the quick game and when you're not passing. You got to, whatever your signals are, you got to dummy it so the defense can't tell when you're doing it and when you're not doing it. Okay, this one, what we're doing here is we're releasing the tight end. We're releasing the tight end to the flat. We're running a slant flat combination up at the top, and then we're running a China down here at the bottom, I think. Yeah. And quarterback read this as there wasn't an underneath defender up there to the top. All there was the corner. So you have the slant flat 2-on-1 versus the corner. You just read the corner, and he ended up throwing the ball to the tight end. This is like a third and 3 to 4, and we got the first down. Now I've kind of, this is our quick game, and when we get to the drop back game, I'll go to talking about the coverage recognition. Okay, this one right here, if I remember right, this was a situation where the quarterback, he audibled to this, and this was a check with me type of thing. They're playing a 7-man front. See how they got both linebackers walked up? 7-man front with the safety low. That safety now is at pre-snap. He's at what is that? You know, before he moved back, he was like at 6 yards maybe, and then he moved back to about 7. But that's configuration-wise now, that's a different deal. And he's lined up right over the ball. So in this, we had a run game on out of the I formation, and with him playing there, it's going to be really hard for them to play a roll. Going with your question earlier, it's going to be really hard for them to play a rolled corner up there to the top. And this was a run-pass check. They're playing a 7-man front, have guys walked up in the gaps with the safety possibly blitzing there. He checked to a quick game and threw the hitch up to the top.
What was the run that he had complimented with?
I can't remember. Knowing us at Notre Dame, I think it was an isolation play. Pretty sure it was. And the other thing that came into play too was when linebackers were walked up, it was harder for us to ISO block them. We had to change the blocking scheme a little bit. Okay, here's quick game out of trips. And like I said, I'll get into the coverage. It's a little bit tied in with this too. But this is a good look at coverage recognition here too. This is what I was talking about out of trips. This is tight trips. That's an X up at the top by himself. And when we were in tight trips, we did not release our tight end. We blocked the tight end down, turned everybody back, and sent the remaining back off the tight end's butt over here to block the D gap down here at the bottom. And what we did is if we had one-on-one on the, this was a really good in the red zone. If we had one-on-one on our X, he was a 6'5" guy. If we had one-on-one up there at the top, you can see where the safety is. See where the safety starts over the ball and then he's cheating over here strong? Pretty good chance pre-snap by that safety walking over that they're blitzing. He's got to cover the tight end man-to-man. They got a blitz on. Okay? We signaled, we either, down in the red zone, we wouldn't run a hitch. We'd either run a fade or a slant based on how the corner was playing. And that corner was slightly inside and he was a guy that squatted. He didn't get any depth at all. So we ran a fade up there at the top. Got the ball up fast. Now down here at the bottom, we had what we call a go route, okay, which is just like the run and shoot go route for those of you that have an interest in that at all. Outside guy runs a fade, inside guy runs a quick out, okay? And he signaled that down here too. But he saw this as being, that up there as being one-on-one, this down here as being 3-on-2. So since it was 3-on-2 down here, he's going to go to the one-on-one up at the top. Get a good look at the protection here. And really this quarterback should have gone one step. He goes a couple extra little steps in there. Okay, now, here, he read this as a one-on-one up at the top because of how far inside the safety was playing. And he signaled a slant to him up there at the top for two reasons. The depth of the corner and the fact that the corner's playing outside leverage is a bad situation to run a fade into. Now really, you know, you can't complain because he threw a touchdown pass here, but really, down here at the bottom, you got a great scenario too. You got 2-on-2 down here at the bottom. You could pretty much run whatever you want to run down here at the bottom. He called it China, which really is a wrong check for these corners playing off this soft. What we'd want in this situation would be a go route where the outside guy runs a fade and the inside guy runs a speed out. But he ends up throwing a completion for on a slant, touchdown at the top. Okay, now the rest of this, and we can talk some more about the coverage, I'm sorry about the 90 game at the end. I just want to talk about coverage recognition here because that's what the topic of this is. Okay, first of all, this is a pretty good look at a pre-snap look of cover 2. And as the ball, after the ball snapped, post-snap read, it's confirmed that it's cover 2. Okay, this is kind of a weird look, but it's a quarter half. They're playing half the field up at the top, playing quarter down here at the bottom. Okay, pre-snap, here's that exact one that I showed you. Pre-snap, this looks like roll weak. Okay, where you got a rolled corner down here at the bottom. Then just before the snap, they're walking into a cover 3. And the safety rotates to the field. And they have the blitz. That's that zone blitz I was talking about, the exact one that I drew up. This isn't Michigan, this is Pitt. But it's the same exact thing Michigan does. So you can see pre-snap now, until they start walking. Sorry about the video, I'm trying to stop it as much as I can, best I can. Pre-snap, it looks like roll weak, and then just before the snap, they run into cover 3. Okay, now we went in motion, which is gonna skew the coverage a little bit here, but anytime that the free safety's that far over to the strong side, over to the field, most likely you have some kind of man coverage. See where that safety, the free safety is way over to the middle of the field. He's almost outside the tackle. What we said, this was a safety read. We run speed outs on both sides. Really, that receiver tried to run lateral too much. You should have been running upfield. Same thing with the motion. You can tell now this is roll weak. See the corner rolled up at the top, so the ball should be coming down here to the bottom. Safety stays up there, it's roll weak. It's quarter down here. It's a two deep look up to the top. You can see the quarterback can see the configuration of that. And the receiver to both sides. He's got a quarter look to this side. He's got a two deep look to the top up there. Okay, same thing now. Where's the safety here? Safety's playing up weak. It's some kind of man-to-man coverage. That free safety's got the tailback man-to-man. They got a blitz going on the weak. They're bringing 4 weak. So now the quarterback knows safety's weak. I'm going to go strong with the ball on the out. Good muddy Midwestern football right there. I showed this earlier when I was talking about backfield routes. But here's an example of a real obvious cover 2 look, where the corners are way up, the safeties are way back, and it's an obvious configuration of cover 2.
One more time, is that the back?
Yes. Yeah, this is what we call a angle route by the back. Tight end is running an out, and the back is running an angle route coming in. We're reading the front side linebacker. Other thing that's good to look at here is what the linebackers are doing. They're dropping zone. You can tell the difference by how they're dropping as opposed to man-to-man when they're going to run and flash in front of the quarterback's eyes, flash to cover the backs. Blitz in the backside linebacker. Okay, now it's a pretty obvious 3 deep situation here. Now really, this ball went the wrong way. This ball should have gone down here at the bottom because of where the safety is. Now he completes it, but really the ball should have gone down here to the bottom because it's a mirrored combination on both sides. And really, the ball wouldn't have gone to the curl. The ball down here at the bottom, based on how the flat defender played, would have gone to the swing. Configuration of the secondary looks like quarter, half. That's exactly what it is. They're rolling weak. They're playing quarter down here at the bottom. The ball should come down here. Safety rotated weak. Ball should go strong on mirrored routes. Now, you know, not, it would be to the, either the curl or the swing based on what the flat defender did. Okay, here's quarters all the way across. And pre-snap, they're walking up into a safety blitz. Quarterback did a good job of getting rid of the ball fast. But anyway, you can tell, just, I think those are some examples of different coverages and teaching configuration, what it looks like, that kind of thing. What I want to do real quick is answer his question and leave it open for, I think we're on until 2:10. What I want to do is answer his question about the other route combination against double bump. And then, if you guys can think of some questions that you want to ask, please feel free. I don't want to forget that I got this tape in. Okay. I talked about, and you saw it on film, but I want to show it to you again. Against double bump, let's just say we have a slot situation. Okay, you've got double bump 2-on-2 with no safety over the top. Okay, and let's even say this guy's tighter. Okay, the one combination is China. She goes 6 yards to a depth of 12 out of bounds. This guy releases hard up into that guy, kind of delays, and then comes hard underneath. So what happens if they try to zone this thing off, like this guy, you know, starts to collision him and then gets some depth, okay? And this guy runs with him, you're going to have a legitimate throw to this guy coming underneath. Most of the time in bump, you throw the ball to that guy like we did on the film, okay? The other one that I really like, okay, and I like that one a lot, but I really like this one. Double bump.
Move it up.
Yeah, my fault, sorry. Outside guy comes down and basically doesn't block him, but picks the inside guy. Forces him in a situation where he has to go underneath. That would be the first choice, going underneath, or maybe have to bubble over the top. But the guy covering him is going to come with him, so there's going to be a bunch of bodies collecting there. And this guy's going to start with an inside release, and then come right off of that guy's butt and on a wheel. And I think that one's really a good one. Good two-man combination out there. I think those are the two best. Now, another one that I like, we did this with Keyshawn Johnson a bunch, is if people are trying to avoid the situation where they want to bump the outside guy, but they don't want to bump the inside guy because of that whole deal of getting picked, where they play one guy off and one guy up, is what we call a bubble route, where this guy goes and just flat out blocks him. That guy runs in and covers him, and this guy just backs up down the line. Quarterback just raises up and throws in the ball and lets him run. And it's protected like quick game. And it's, in other words, the receiver on the inside just goes like this. Catch the ball and go. And this guy's a flat out blocker because this guy's catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Those are the ones I like. Other questions?
Do you have your quarterbacks, after they're making their drop, they're reading downfield?
I'm going to open this door if you guys don't mind. You guys seem like it's getting a little I hope this doesn't mess up your video.
Fine.
It's just getting awfully, muggy in here. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So your quarterback's looking downfield on the snap, and then I guess he's reading his keys to
Yes.
determine whether or not he's going strong or weak side,
Yes,
which is telling them the coverage.
right.
Okay.
Okay. What he's gonna do, that's a good question. All right, and I wanna give you more detail. What the quarterback's gonna do is he's gonna get a pre-snap look on what the coverage is, which is on each individual route. He's gonna have an intent of where the ball's gonna go. And if it's a mirrored route, like I was talking about, he's gonna go away from where the safety goes, okay? So, there's, really, if we're doing a mirrored route, we wanna know where the safety's going. If we're doing a route that we are working one specific side of the field, okay? Really, all he needs to know is what's going on that side of the field. But he'll be able to tell that by what the safeties do, okay? So, he's gonna recognize man or zone, what kind of zone, okay? And then based on that, where he's gonna go with the ball off of a specific defender.
Okay, Mike, cover two.
Yes.
What is your favorite? I mean, the hitches are great on the other stuff. I can't stand cover two. What's your favorite that you have high percentage, you're gonna throw a three-step pass in the air? Is it gonna be the slant?
Now, there's two of them. Okay, my favorite of all time. Now, what formation are you in?
Well, let's just do it out with a pro set to start with. I mean,
Okay, that's
that's
hard.
tougher.
Yeah.
That's,
See, to me, my personal
you start
opinion,
cover two, get out.
I
of
would
the pro.
never throw a three-step game with two backs in the backfield against cover
Oh, yeah, you're gonna
two.
change
To me,
the
you
set.
should run the ball. I mean, I know that's a cop-out, but that's the advantage of signaling and checking plays. Okay, but, let me give you an ideal scenario for me to talk right now.
I give you some twos, you're gonna change the set, so go ahead.
The ideal thing we'd like to do our quick game into is a 2x1 set, okay? And if we had cover two to the slot side, okay? Let's just say, and what people try to do when you get this, if they're gonna play cover two, is they're gonna play this guy because you've got to have something that's gonna make them have to defend and run over, okay? Whether it's a stretch play, whether it's a zone play, a counter, gap play, or whatever. So what people have to do in this formation is play their linebacker or their nickel guy or whatever he is, kind of in a halfway alignment, so that he's kind of in that bastard deal between being a linebacker and being a pass coverage guy. Okay. Favorite deal against this look is a fade by the outside guy, speed out by the inside guy, and just read the corner. If the corner flips with him and runs with him, you're going to throw the out where he just voided. If the corner squats, you're going to throw the fade. Okay? Second one that I like.
Well, can you do that on the tight end flanker set though?
You could do it out in twins. You could do it in twins. But you can't do it with a tight end. It's hard to do with a tight end and a flanker because of the relative position of where the
Linebacker would come from.
the linebacker is. Okay, what was I thinking? Oh, yeah, let's just say you're in it doesn't, you could still be in a trips, but if we're in an ace set. Okay, the other one that I like, same thing, you got a defender there, you got a cover two look, is a double slant. And you teach, and this inside receiver's job on a double slant is he's got to get across the face of that guy. So he's actually just almost gonna angle inside and take that guy out of there. Then this guy's gonna run a slant and the ball should go to him anytime. And it's gotta be a flat slant. It's not a slant going up the field. And I talked about this earlier. It's a slant where the receiver's gonna go his third step and he's gonna break it off sharper than a 45-degree angle. And he's actually gonna turn his numbers to the quarterback. And the quarterback puts the ball on him. Rather than it being one of those perfect throws out here.
Is that so the free camera guy?
2 reasons, so that there's not a huge collision by the free safety on the receiver, A, and B, if you look at this, and I should have used this earlier when we had this, but if you look at this drawing right here of a radius, if the receiver runs on a slant route with his shoulders pointed that way, and the quarterback's got to throw it in there to complete it, it's just like if you took half of this radius, and that's the only part of the receiver the quarterback has to throw to. If the receiver keeps his hips and his legs going that way, but turns his numbers to the quarterback has a lot more area to throw the ball in to get it to complete it. Okay? So in other words, how many times have you seen it where the receiver's running hard, he's running the slant, and the ball's thrown behind him and he can't catch it? Well, if he turns his shoulders, he's going to end up, the ball's thrown behind, he can catch it, ball's thrown high, he can catch it, ball's thrown low, he can catch it. So you improve the target area that the quarterback can hit in and still complete the pass. The other thing about cover 2 that's really important about this is it ends up being like the receiver ends up being able to body the ball. In other words, he gets put in a position where he can get his body between the defender and the ball and get him on his back. It's like a rebound. It's like screening out to rebound in basketball. It's the same exact concept. And when the quarterback puts the ball on him, the only way the defender has to get to the ball is to go through the receiver. It's either pass interference or it's a completion. If the ball's thrown properly.
Mike, what's the favorite way the 49ers hit the slant to Rice? What's the favorite formation? What's the favorite way hitting that slant? You know?
Most of the time, they're in some kind of a set. Really, they run it out of. This will be the last thing, and then we'll break. Their big thing that they like to do.
Can't see, Coach.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, what they like to do, and we're going to do this also, is slant flat on both sides. And they have the back hook up over the ball. So what they're doing, when they're hitting, they're usually, he's the flanker. That's Jerry Rice. He plays the Z position for them. And this is, and they're hitting it off of this action right here. And they're just reading it, and they'll throw it to the guy in the flat if it's open. It's not like they're throwing it to Jerry no matter what. But they're reading the flat defender and throwing it over here. And if they get a situation where they get a linebacker getting underneath it and a flat defender playing it there, linebacker underneath it and a flat defender playing it there, they throw it to the back right over. Back is checking, but he's releasing. Okay, guys, that's it. Next.